This is Wandering Universe. Today, I'll be exploring something different on the other side of the planet that also has pyramids. So, let's go exploring. Ah yes, planet Earth, the big blue marble as you can see right in front of you. Ah, what a gorgeous planet, don't you think? Absolutely splendid. I mean, words can't describe this planetary natural structure. It's just fantastic to live on. So, what we're going to do now is that we're going to explore somewhere different on the other side of this ocean right here. So I'm going to move this big blue marble around. Okay. Guess where we're going today? Yep. Come on in. Come with me. Let's go exploring. Yes, this is where we're going today. You guessed it, Mexico. All right. Come on in. Come with me. Let's go exploring. Okay, nope. We're not going to the mountain ranges today. I know there's a lot of nice green valley terrain right here, and there's a lot of interesting, desolate mountain terrains up in the north. But we're not going there today. We're going to go to Mexico City. Here we are, as you can see in front of you. It is the largest and busiest city in the world. Next, I say that New York City is next in line to it. Now, we're going to go in closer. It's interesting, Mexico City, as large as it is surrounded by a steep mountain terrain and looks like several volcanic craters. Now, whether these volcanic craters are extinct or they're still active, I'm not sure, but that's something you can have a look online. Nevertheless, this city is in close proximity to these volcanic structures. So that's living a bit dangerously, wouldn't you think? Okay, now, I'm going to place it right here, Mexico City. And now I'm going to type in a name in the search bar. Okay, I think you know where we're going. Okay. Here we go. So, here we are. Teotihuacan Pyramids in Mexico. The design, the architecture never ceases to amaze me. It is absolutely splendid, especially from the aerial point of view. What's interesting is surrounded by suburbs, desolate suburbs. It looks like it doesn't rain very often in the area, but as you can see, there is a long road that leads from one end of the pyramid to the other end of another pyramid, and there's this pyramid right here, which is the pyramid of the moon, the pyramid of the sun, and you have the pyramid of the feathered serpent, but I'll talk about that later. Now, before I give you a lovely view, and you will get an aerial view soon, I'll just take you out a little bit further. It's very crowded for some reason. It seems like a lot of people just want to close themselves in on the actual site itself. Not a good idea. All right, going to take you out. I'm going to show you something interesting. There's a lot of desolate plains surrounding the complex and further out from the complex. Have you noticed this? This is the Cerro Gordo mountain. I think this is a volcanic crater. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'd say this is possibly maybe an active volcanic crater. I'm not sure, or it is extinct. We'll just go in a little bit closer. So we'll go in a little bit. All right. Okay, so it seems like there's a little bit of land going on there, a little bit of farming going on there. So, risky, but anyway, as you can see, that is the big volcanic crater. Now, what's interesting, and I'll just show you, as we get a little bit further in the site, see this line snaking nearby the monument, that is the San Juan River. And these pyramids are situated right near the river. Now, I don't know if there's any water. I'll have a look. There might be some water flowing down this river. I don't know. Or could be just totally dried up because they've got a long period of drought and it hasn't rained in years heavily, and possibly they only get a few inches of rain each year. I'm not sure. But that is the San Juan River that runs in between or through this area of the pyramid structure and nearby the bank of the river. Later on, I'm going to tell you something really fascinating about these pyramids, and it's not what you think, and it's not pretty obvious in the news or you've heard about it in the media, but there is a purpose as to why these pyramids were constructed near to a water channel. I'll tell you that later on, but for now, I want you to have a look where these pyramids are positioned and how they're in close proximity to the river system. Interesting. And most importantly, they are very near to this volcanic structure. Why? Why were these pyramids built near this volcanic crater? Now, I'm not sure if it's extinct, it's still active, or it was coming close to being extinct at the time that they began construction of these pyramids. I don't know. I'm not sure when it happened, but it could be soon after the volcanic crater was about to be extinct and then take its natural course in forming itself into a mountain. So that's interesting to note. Okay, so have a look. I'm going to go in closer now. Yep, you're going to get your view. Don't you worry. Here comes the view. Okay, here it is, the viewing platform. Soak it in. Okay, now that you've seen it from this angle, I'm going to move the compass back so you get a better look, as you can see here. Now, we're going to go out further. I'm going to show you something very interesting. Okay, keep your eye on this little red marker. I'm going to go out further. Yes, I know there are other pyramids in Guatemala, as you can see here, but that's for another video. All right, let's have a look, shall we? Going to turn this ball around. Okay, keep your eye on the red marker. Okay, just keep an eye on it. Almost there. Now, you must be wondering, do these pyramids in Mexico align all the way, follow my arrow, to the Giza pyramids in Egypt? And I'd say yes, they do share the celestial equator alignment. And that is absolutely phenomenal how they did it. So, now that it's confirmed, well, on my take, let's go exploring. Mexico. Everyone knows about the country. It's no big deal, right? It's been featured on the news regularly and showcased in Hollywood films. But what you really want to know is, what is Mexico really famous for? Now, let me see. Music! Arija! And yes, they do speak Spanish. Hola, ¿qué tal? Ah, yes, it's got it all. Mexico is a happening place if you're looking for the Latin experience. Yet, there are a number of mysterious relics that you can spend a whole week mesmerizing them. Yes, these grande pyramids. They may look dry as bone from this angle, but I can assure you it's quite breathtaking from the ground level. This place is called Teotihuacan, meaning city of the gods. Many are disputing the definition, as many claim that it was just a biased interpretation. So now it's been translated today as the City of the Sun. There is a ton of info about these pyramids, so go ahead, research them in your own time. Today, I'm skipping all the historical stuff, as that is not what this video is about. This behemoth of a complex is also known as the Pyramid of the Sun, Mexico City Pyramids of Teotihuacan, Pyramids at Teotihuacan, the Fire Pyramid, and Gateway to the Underworld. All it takes is a simple bus ride, and 40 kilometers northeast from Mexico City later, you're there. It is surrounded by dense mountain terrain, farmland, and suburbs. Trust me, you don't want to get lost in this part of Mexico. It was once part of the ancient Mesoamerican city. Many archaeologists, historians, and professors will assume this site was built during the pre-Columbian period, but upon close inspection, it's far older than at first glance. It covers 8 square miles of land and used for superstitious worship. To illustrate Teotihuacan pyramidal beauty, let Brien Foerster be your tour guide in this video.
Alto del universo.
In order to get in the highest point.
Lo mismo que hace nuestro Padre Sol.
This is the Temple of the Moon at Teotihuacan. Notice how the staircase construction is completely different from the rest of the structure. And then at the Temple of Quetzalcoatl, notice the large blocks that appear to have originally been in place, but now are damaged and on the ground. And then we have the massive Pyramid of the Sun. Again, notice the staircase is different in construction than the rest of the building. And as we approach the Pyramid of the Sun, we see that the staircase is made of cut cube-like blocks, where the rest of the building is made of simple volcanic stone. And here we see the Pyramid of the Sun from the Pyramid of the Moon, massive in scale. And again, as we go backwards, we see the immensity of the Pyramid of the Sun amongst the smaller temple structures. Now, at the Temple of Quetzalcoatl, again, the staircase is made of cut blocks. And yet the rest of the construction is really quite simplistic, except for those large cut stones there.
These pyramids are unique. There is nothing like it on Earth. They stand out like a sore thumb in its architecture and abstract design. All three pyramids are stone step structures, unlike the ones you've seen in Egypt. They orchestrate their stands with the movements of the stars. Their alignment is precise, thanks to a technology called geometry that didn't make its appearance until thousands of years later. In essence, these pyramids were built to align with the constellations in space. The Pyramid of the Sun weighs 1 million cubic meters in volume. The base is 794.79 meters and 75 meters in height. The angle slope is at a 32.494 degrees. It is flawless and has perfectly straight angles. Believe it or not, this is the third largest pyramid, next in line to score top position to Khafre and Maoulin pyramids. All are flat-topped with a smooth surface. A large capstone was inserted on top of each, making them mechanical signal contraptions. The surface is remarkably smooth and masterfully made. The Avenue of the Dead is a long 45-metre stretch of road that reaches to either end. The architectural style is a Tula tablero, meaning each side slopes down with an inward incline with a panel facing diagonally to the ground. This design resembles a step pyramid. It dates back to around 2500 BC. That said, this type of construction was created during the pre-classic era, around the same time as the Giza and Chinese pyramids were being built. Allow this gentleman to present his find.
This is a typical staircase located at Teotihuacan of mixed material. And one very large stone here that clearly was originally used in the construction, but now isn't. And now we are approaching the Temple of the Moon, the Pyramid of the Moon. And this gives you a look at most of the entire work located at Teotihuacan, about 2 hours outside of Mexico City. This is a standard staircase, very crudely made. And here in behind, again, the fine cut blocks of the staircase at the temple of Quetzalcoatl. Compare it to the other rather crude construction that is around it.
As I'm getting a sore head over this theory, rammed earth mixed with cement were used to create the pyramids. But that's impossible. It would have deteriorated over thousands of years. That theory has holes. So I'd say these pyramids were built using compacted stone blocks cemented to form a huge or large stone block, then placed onto the allocated framework precisely. Now get this, each stone block consists of hewed tezontli, a red coarse and porous volcanic rock. It also comes in black and grey colours. Funnily enough, this rock can be cemented with other rock to create stucco finishes. This made me do a double take that there was an outer casing finished with lime plaster imported from surrounding areas. Okay, so this construction method was unheard of until 6000 BC. Cement came about by accident until after the introduction of stone masonry. But even then, it was used on a very small scale. Cement to construct these pyramids was done on a massive scale. So the question is, who brought over this new technology? Well, the truth is, we don't know. If you're still a bit spun out, watch my video on who built Petra. But I know who did. These beings. They're not human, as not classified as people, but they were the ones that brought over the cement technology. They are called the feathered winged serpent god. These gods were worshipped during the Teotihuacan, Aztec, Mayan, and Inca generations. The story goes that these beings were the creators of the pyramids, along with brought over technology at their disposal. This temple, called the Pyramid of the Feathered Serpent, is a representation of those beings. The indigenous tribes throughout the centuries etched their facial features along the sloping walls, showing devotion and praise for their geometric wonder. It's handy to note that Mexico is not the only geographical landmass that these beings have settled on. They migrated to other continents along the celestial equator, like Persia, Mesopotamia, Egypt, India, and China. All these symbolic depictions of these reptile-looking beings suggest that they did settle in Mexico to construct the pyramids, but for what purpose? Here is Brien explaining his take on the construction methods used on the pyramids.
And again, here we focus in on the staircase at the Pyramid of the Sun. Cut cube-like blocks. And looking down, we're going to see the typical kind of staircase, lots of mortar, and crudely put together. We are now at Tula, which also is about 2 hours away from Mexico City, but in a completely different direction. This is where we find the so-called Atlantean statues, which was a term made up by a 19th century British or American writer. We'll actually see that these statues have nothing to do with Atlantis. That was just a fancy term used and now, unfortunately, has stuck. Again, we can see that cube-like stones seem to have been recycled in parts of the staircase. And now we approach the structures or statues themselves, made of very hard basalt stone, which is not found locally.
So, you have the Pyramid of the Sun and Moon and the Pyramid of the Feathered Serpent smack bang on the Ciudadela. It's fascinating to see on this picture right here that they all align perfectly. Obviously, whoever they were master builders of pyramidal construction. But why were these beautiful pyramids left abandoned? Well, we don't know. From what I can tell, something went wrong between us and them. And I can tell you, it wasn't pretty. Around 600 BC onwards, us humans were looking for a place to reside. Once we came across this nice abandoned spot, we squatted the joint, and the rest is a bleak history. When the complex was completely abandoned due to a long drought and the end of sun worship, along came Carlos de Singengua y Góngora, studied the area by doing a few excavations around the pyramid in the late 17th century. But these pyramids didn't acclaim their fame until a gentleman named Porfirio Diaz Leopoldo Batres in 1905. He jumped at the chance to jazz up the place to give it a pizzazz to its former glory. By employing a team of excavators, fine-tuning whatever materials left on the ground, and packed it on top of the structures crudely. Then, in 1971, along came a sound engineer, fiddling with sound and lights for a stage show, discovered an entrance that led to a dark tunnel and cave system. Unbeknownst to him, he had no idea where it'd take him until he went underneath the pyramid. But wait, there's more. Yes, Teotihuacan pyramids have tunnels galore, and just when you thought Giza pyramids were the center of the universe, well, it's got a new contender. Some brave soul felt a draft coming upwards from somewhere and so investigated it near this site in 2003. Then along came two curious archaeologists crawled down a sinkhole formed after days of heavy rain. To their amazement, they discovered another tunnel that contained a perfectly cylindrical shaft. But luck began to run out when this tunnel was blocked by huge boulders from both entrances. From then onwards, they couldn't resist searching for more tunnels. And they did. In 2004, using groundbreaking radar uncovered something to the naked eye. This tunnel underneath the Pyramid of the Sun led down to a subterranean chamber, but it's not the only one. Even underneath the Pyramid of the Feathered Serpent contained a 30-meter long tunnel that led to further chambers. Somehow I'm getting the hunch that the pre-ancients had the know-how when it comes to this type of construction layout. So, eat your heart out, geezer. Things got even more surprising when in 2009 a 6-meter tunnel entrance led to a cave underneath the Pyramid of the Sun. With the help of a nerdy robot gadget, they scoured the tunnel and found a 5-meter vertical shaft access to the 14-meter deep tunnel. But it didn't stop there. It went further down to a 100-meter long corridor that displays a series of underground galleries, meaning a subterranean chamber. Many artifacts were found beneath these pyramids, like masks, jade found in Guatemala, Russia and China, quartz, pottery, cat bones, seashells and other primitive items. To their astonishment, they found hundreds of metallicized spheres made from pyrite and yellow jarosite that oxidized them over time and covered in clay. It's possible these balls do contain a metallic electromagnetic element for conduction. And just when they thought this discovery was going to lead them on a wild goose chase. On the contrary, as they went a further 17 meters underground, they found a miniature mountain landscape with pools of mercury that imitated lakes. Wait a minute, how did they know about this? Did they get word from Juan himself or his right-hand man, the secret formula to dilute mercury from a crystal? And where did the Teotihuacan people get the stuff? Here is a video from Ancient Insights that explains this.
Why is there liquid mercury under the Teotihuacan Pyramid? Archaeologists unearthed liquid mercury under the ancient Teotihuacan Pyramids in Mexico. What in the world is this doing in that place? Archaeologists recently announced the discovery of large quantities of mercury at the entrance of the burial chamber 6 feet below the pre-Aztec city of Teotihuacan. The find is a recent development in a 6-year-long excavation of the ruins of the pyramids of the Plumed Serpent. So far, the sacred tunnels have yielded about 50,000 artifacts such as stone sculptures and obsidian knives. The mercury, however, may be a key to unlocking an even greater mystery. Some archaeologists believe Thosic elements could herald what would be the first ruler's tomb ever found in Teotihuacan, a contemporary of several ancient Maya cities, but so shrouded in mystery that its inhabitants still have no name. Why might royals have tombs placed around quicksilver? Lead archaeologist Sergio Gomez has a theory about the Teotihuacan pyramids. Unsure why the mercury was put there, Gomez says the metal may have been used to symbolize an underworld river or lake. Previously uncovered in small amount at a few Maya sites much further south, it had never been found in Teotihuacan. Let us remember that the same Roman god, Mercury, patron of speakers, travelers and merchants, is also a psychopomp, a god tasked with carrying souls to the afterlife. The elements Mercury has also been found in Egyptian tombs and is rumored to surround the underground necropolis of Chinese Emperor Qin Shi Huangdi. Mercury's immortal nature was also prized by early modern alchemists and was often alluded to in their references to the philosopher's stone. Although the link between the Mercury in other cultures and Mesoamerican custom is entirely coincidental, there is probably a simple reason why the element was so favored by high society. It was simply hard to come by. Difficult to mine and prize for its reflective properties, Mercury was rare in ancient Mexico. Archaeologists believe they have lent a supernatural significance for ritual ends. Every person couldn't afford surrounding his or her corpse and riches with rivers of liquid metal. To the ancients, it may have been the perfect symbol for the watery abyss of the underworld, a barrier between the land of the living and the land of the dead.
The archaeologists were having a field day on that day when they discovered a chamber, something like this one, decorated in an array of stars displaying the constellations in our Milky Way. Remember my video on pyramids in Sudan and Pepi's pyramid? If you haven't, let this picture refresh your memory. Yes, I'm saving the best till last. Everything you've dug up online that's these pyramids only tell you what you want to hear, but not what you need to know. The fact is, these pyramids do align with the Orion constellation. Why? Allow me to spill the beans a little. Nope, I'm not going any further. I'll end it right here. All the previous indigenous ancestors weren't the slightest bit interested in pyramidal structures. The compass wasn't yet invented until the Polynesians began to sail across the Pacific. It's also interesting to note that these pyramids are nestled near the bank of the San Juan River, just like the other pyramids. So, now that you've been given a little surprise hint, don't spoil the fun just yet, because this is a warm-up before the main event. What I will show you later on is going to be quite a spectacular arena that you don't want to miss. After the discovery of tunnels and chambers underneath both pyramids, it came as no surprise that they did not find one human remain or hieroglyphs of any sort that emulated a king. Therefore, these pyramids were not used to bury the dead for one person. More so, the Teotihuacan Pyramids, like the sun and moon, were used as a star map calendar. These pyramids were purposely positioned for the sun rises during February 11th and October 29, pointing 15.25 degrees north, and sunsets during August 13 and April 30. In total of 260 days a year. These pyramids do align to true north, making sure they were away from the shadow of the sun whilst Earth orbited its 24-hour cycle, meaning they're orbiting to a constellation, possibly Orion or one nearest to it. Alright, I'm going to end it there to give you space to absorb this marvel of information. It's impossible that the ancient Teotihuacan, Mayan, Aztecs and Incas knew about geometric calculations of precise celestial orientation to the Orion constellation. This technology was around thousands upon thousands of years earlier before it was handed down to them many thousands upon thousands of years later, but not without a price. Until this day, not one archaeologist has thoroughly observed these pyramids to the core. They still don't know where the nearest quarry site is located, and they don't know where the mercury came from. Furthermore, no construction tools of any kind was found, not even a blueprint was written on any wall. All they know is what they told you in high school textbooks. Assumptions. But I'll leave you with a takeaway. Ask yourself, who truly built these pyramids in Mexico? Was it us or the others? I'll let you think about it. In the next video, I'll be exploring the obscure-looking bent pyramid in Egypt. That's all for now.